The Chelsea fans were back after such a disappointing performance, in my opinion. Such a disappointing performance, right? You watch the game the first, say, 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. 10, 15 minutes. Chelsea were impressive, looking good. And then Crystal Palace got that free kick. I don't think it was a free kick anyway. I didn't think it was a free kick anyways. I think Will Hughes sort of sold it and the referee bought it. The free kick was taken by Eze, thumping drive, but how Robert Sanchez allowed that ball pass through, just crazy. And then Chelsea saved by VAR, you know, disallowed the goal because of some of an infringement by Magai. So you're thinking, okay, you're the better team, you're the bigger team. Supposedly, you know, this should be what should spur you on to go on, you know, to dominate the game, to press on, to actually show Crystal Palace who's boss. But it was the same disappointing performance, same bad, I would say bad habits from last season, at least the early part of last season, for the part of the players. Head down, slow pace, build up, dragging their feet the way they played, tiring performance. They look like they were tired from the moment Ebere Eze took that free kick. It almost felt like they thought they had considered the goal, or like the goal stood. It just dragged on, poor performance. And then I have to pick out some players, right? Cucurella was okay, it wasn't that bad. But Gittins, come on, man. Come on. You can't be a scared kitten. You cannot be a scared kitten. You cannot just fizzle out the moment you see a second body coming in, a second person coming in to join the defender. You can't just fizzle out. Be brave. Get on the ball. Run at your man. Try to commit them. Yeah, other things I'll point to as to things that contributed to his performing poorly. But you as a winger, show some spirit. When Estavayo came on, he showed some spirit. Pedro Neto, he's serviceable at right wing. And I know we're in the era where, you must play on the opposite side. If you're a right footer, you play on the left side. If you're a left footer, you play on the right side. But I think every now and again, you get a player that is just an orthodox winger. And for me, Pedro Neto should be an orthodox left winger. Ball to feet, head down, pace down that left wing, ball in the box. Because how many times did he look to actually take on his man when he played on that right hand side? And we've seen it last season as well. We've seen it last season. Now, I'm not calling for Madueke signing, whatever, but one good quality Madueke had was the bravery to actually go at the man. And Gittins just didn't show it today. And the same thing I saw in the game versus Bayer Leverkusen, the game versus AC Milan, the game versus AC Milan particularly. Once Loftus-Cheek came close to him in that AC Milan game, he just lost all the fight to attempt to go past the man. And the same thing in this game. Once he saw they were doubling up on him, he just lost the fight. He lost the drive to want to take on his man, come on a strong foot. And I must admit, certain players looked very tired. Enzo Fernandez looked tired. And I think he should have been subbed off. He shouldn't have come on the second. He shouldn't have come on the second half. He shouldn't have. He looked super tired. Super tired. Caicedo, he wasn't really at the best of himself, but he was okay. He was still fairly decent. But there are certain mistakes he made. Then Cole Palmer wasn't really in the game today, if I'm honest. He wasn't really in the game. João Pedro was starved of service. Last season and the previous seasons, our complaint as Chelsea fans used to be, we need a striker with great loads of chances, tons and tons of chances, but no one there to take those chances. Now, João Pedro has shown in a couple of games he's played for Chelsea, Club World Cup, he scored 3 goals in 2 games. Then he's come on to the preseason. He scored those goals. He scored by level with AC Milan. So he's shown I can be the answer to your striking issues. Just play the ball in, and I can be your guy. I can be the one to take those chances. More starved of chances, starved of opportunities. And now, where we drift to Enzo Maresca's bad habit, because this draw, it feels like a loss to me, is on everyone. It's not just on the players, it's on the manager as well. For me, I have my issues with inverting, but one thing that annoys me more than anything else about inverting is this. The football is not only about your team as a coach, as a fan, as a player. It's about how the other team chooses to set up against you. So when the other team decides that, look, we are not going to press you high, at least in major moments in the game, we're not going to press you high, we're going to sit deep, and each time your winger gets the ball, we will use one of our wingers that are up front, plus our wing backs, and double up on you. So as a player, as a team, as a coach, how do you respond? What is your response? Do you just watch and let your team struggle? And that's the thing I lay at the feet of Maresca. Now, the responsibility to actually take on your man, show some bravery. For instance, Gittins, I lay that at his feet because he didn't really show that, okay, I'm willing, I'm brave enough to go at my man, try to get past him. Same thing with Pedro Neto, whether it's tiredness or whatever, he didn't show it. He didn't show it. But where the responsibility now comes to Enzo Maresca is this. You've set your team up, fullbacks inverting, Cucurella invert, Rhys James as a third centre back, but dropping into midfield in spots. You've seen that your wingers are struggling, constantly being doubled up on. So what do you do as a coach? Fold your arms and watch things just play out that way till the game peters out, which is what has happened today. This is what has happened today, and it happened a lot earlier on in the season. It happened earlier on in the season, last season. And fair play, first game, players tired, whatever. You put that all. You can put that in that basket. But what you can tell me is, and that's why the old school coaches and all, they adapted. You set your team out, the opposition, comes up with different tactics to challenge what you're doing. You should be able to, okay, let me switch it up a bit. Maybe not for the entirety of the game, but for a few moments here and there, to sort of challenge the opposition and see what they do. Because football is a game of questions. If I set my team up like this, what are you going to do? If I invert my fullbacks into midfield, Crystal Palace, how are you going to respond? And they responded. We are not going to go crazy and press you high up so you can play the ball easily to your wingers. No, we are going to be compact, difficult to break down. And then when you play that ball out to your wingers, we are going to double up on them. Then the question is, when Crystal Palace does that, what do you do as Chelsea? What do you do as Enzo Maresca? But he did nothing to affect it. That is the problem I've had with Maresca. Now, this is not a Maresca out thing, whatever, none of those. This is just me analyzing the game. What do you do? How do you respond? And I'm seeing some people coming up with some crazy narrative about, if Corey was there, just would. No. That's not an excuse. That is not an excuse. The absence of Colwill, that's not what made the build-up to be so slow. That's not what made fullback not to overlap in moments. Well and good. You want your fullbacks to invert. Beautiful. But in moments where the opposition team is making it difficult for you to do what you want to do. So what do you as the Chelsea head coach, what do you as the Chelsea team do? And I look at Gittins, it may seem like I'm going too hard on Gittins, but I just have to say this. Gittins should be the second wave option. That's where I look at it right now. It should be the second wave option that is, by that I mean, you're leading 2-0, you're leading 3-0, 10 minutes to go, 20 minutes to go, he comes on and uses his pace to get in behind because the opposition the opposition would now, be pressing forward, pushing forward. You have the spacing behind. You put the ball for him to run to, because he's got the skill. But my question right now is, does he have the heart? Because I noticed this in a couple of games, and I've seen it again in this, in this game. Does he have the heart to, okay, I'm being doubled up on, let me go? Look at Estevao William. He didn't score. He had the opportunity in the box, but I think he should have laid it off to Pedro Neto. But when he had that 1v1, not even 1v1, 1v2 versus Crystal Palace, look at what he did. Showed skill, went on the outside, came on the inside, got into the box. He showed bravery on the ball. But the limitation of what Enzo Maresca did, which is, we are not going to give the fullbacks, the wingers support. The fullbacks are not going to overlap. They'll remain in midfield. And even when, I think, was it 70 odd minutes gone, and he brought on Gusto, I was thinking, okay, he's taking off Reece James, and probably the instruction to Gusto right now would be, overlap. Overlap, go out wide. But no, he still remained in midfield, even if that wasn't working. João Pedro, like I said today, he had no service. He kept dropping into midfield, looking for the ball, dropping out wide, looking for the ball. It's nice because he has that in his locker. He has that ability to, that cultured ability to be able to drop into other parts of the pitch, drag the centre backs all over the place, pick the ball in spots where you don't expect the striker to do it. But you don't want your striker to be doing that primarily game in, game out. Fair play, first game of the season. So this is not absolutely panic stations at the minute. But this performance was disappointing, absolutely disappointing. A poor start to the season. Poor start. No one should come and tell me, oh, Maresca did well. No, this game was poor. So the games where he had his tactics right, the Club World Cup final versus PSG, I said he showed good adaptability. He showed good ingenuity. He was able to tweak his team to affect how PSG set up. In the preseason games, I said it. There are some good things I started to see in the team. But all that flushed off. Same old, poor, pathetic play. Not from the latter part of the season, from the early part of the season. Or let's say the midpoint of the season, when that slump happened. Keep playing the same rigid way, not adapting. For me, I'm okay. You have a particular way you want to play. Start the game that way. Keep playing. But when you notice how the opposition have chosen to set up, then find a different way within that system. Mourinho used to do it with Duff and Robin. They used to switch wings to confuse fullbacks without having to take off anybody. And the defense wasn't even really the problem. Josh Archiampong was fine today. He was fine. There were moments where Mateta was trying to, old man him, like son him, bully him about, but he held his own. He tried in moments to progress the ball. But people don't know how important the wide play is. It's super important because it takes away everything. The balls don't come into the box. And Palmer looked lost today. Fair play. I think everyone would agree. Palmer looked lost today. The whole team was poor. Cucurella was poor. He was okay. I wouldn't say absolutely poor, but not at the levels. Not at the levels. You want to be in Champions League spots? Nah. And you have a good start to the season in terms of the teams you're coming up against. And you've ended up dropping points at home to Crystal Palace in a game where you should have won. In a game where you quite easily should have won this game. But because of, would I call it stubbornness, or is Maresca tired as well? Maybe needs some rest. But the play was poor. Robert Sanchez did some Robert Sanchez things, but he wasn't even the worst part of the game. He wasn't even one of the worst players on the pitch. You talk about worst players, Fernandez was one of the poorest performers today. Maybe he shouldn't have started, But most certainly, he shouldn't have come on in the second half. He shouldn't have come on at all. No, that second half should have been on the bench. And Andre Santos came on, was okay in spots, but what was he doing with that chance? How do you sky that sort of chance? That's not the chance you're looking to bend. You're looking to smash it. The way the ball was set up, the way the ball came out, it was for him to smash through that ball. Trying to bend the ball wherever was never on. Was never on. Nice touch, Romario in the stadium, nice, but that's about it. The game was really poor. Really poor. João Pedro, poor. Liam Delap came on. He tried, was a bit physical and all, but still amounted to nothing. And like I said, Liam Delap will be good for Chelsea as part of the second wave where you're leading 2-0, the opposition are pressing high up, then he can run the channels, run in behind and take advantage. Now, Robert Sanchez was trying to play those long balls, quick play. I commend the intention, but the execution was so poor. There was one where you had Esavay William free, acres of space, no one close to him. But Robert Sanchez played a very inaccurate pass to a player who was even tightly marked and who even couldn't get it in Cole Palmer. The performance super disappointing. All the highs of the Club World Cup, all the highs of the preseason friendly games, all just evaporated. Just this performance was so bad. There's no part of this game where you look at it and say, yeah, the team did well. No. Such an awful performance. Let me know your opinions on this game in the chats. Let me know what you think about the game. I think I'll just start with player ratings quickly. Go Robert Sanchez, I'll say a 6 because he didn't really make any mistake or do anything crazy. But overall, he wasn't good. It was just okay. Then you look at Cucurella again. I'll give him a 6 today, unfortunately. Or maybe I give him a 6.5. Look at the centre backs. Josh, I probably give him a 6.5. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't fantastic again. No player on the pitch was super fantastic where you could say, yeah, this player can walk out of this game with his head held high. None. They were all poor. We go to Chaloba, I'll say 5.5. Wasn't fantastic. Rich James, same thing, more on the 6. And I think the likes of Rich James and Cucurella are being shackled a bit by Maresca. I must say it. I say it as I say it. Because when you don't let your fullbacks even overlap, when the game demands it, that is the point. That is where I have the issue with Maresca's style of play. He showed that in the Club World Cup, he showed signs that he was departing from that style of play, but he's come back to the same habits, the same stubborn habits that don't help. Fair enough, I saw those long balls and all. Good. But sometimes, out wide, you should let your fullbacks drag opposition players wide into positions they don't want to be in. You shouldn't be allowing your wingers to suffer as much as they did today. Estevao William, he showed that he wanted to try. He got a yellow card trying to win the ball back. Fair play. Some wingers will just let the attacks from Crystal Palace go on. Overall, the game was poor. This was a disastrous performance, I must say. It was a disastrous performance. Because for me, my expectations going into this season is not anything crazy like win the league or win the quadruple or win the treble. My expectation this season is for Chelsea to be the best of the rest. Maybe you say Arsenal or Liverpool win the league, whatever. Maybe you say Man City or whatever. But from that fourth down, Chelsea should be the best of every other team in the league. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem that's going to be the case. This is just one game, I know. It's just one game, first game of the season. But my Maresca needs to change things up. We don't need this sort of stubbornness going into the season. Just don't need it. And from Gittins, I think I don't want Ganacho, but he's going to be signed the way it seems. And I feel like Ganacho may take his spot. I think Ganacho may end up starting ahead of Gittins if he continues to show this timidness, or the timidity, or whatever, this timid style of play. He's got the pace, he's got the skill. So why is he so, I don't know, frightened to go both ways? He can go both ways. He showed it up in preseason and he showed it up again in this game. And then when you go to midfielder, Caicedo, I'll give him a 6. It wasn't that great. And then you talk about Fernandez. Fernandez probably give him a 4. It was not good enough. He looked like he should still be on holiday. He didn't look like someone was meant to be playing a football match. Not talk of a Premier League game, season opener. It was absolutely terrible. Terrible, 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 terrible performance from Enzo Fernandez. I don't know what you guys think, but terrible performance. I give him a 4. And then Palmer 10. I know he's called Palmer most important player for Chelsea, but based on today's game, based on his performance, he probably will come good in future games. But based on this game, I'll probably give him a 6 as well. It wasn't great. It wasn't great at all. Pedro Neto, I'll give him a 5. Because one thing that sets you out as a winger, or one major sort of role or feature a winger should have, is the ability to beat a man 1v1. He struggled in that regard. He struggled heavily in that regard. Then João Pedro was nothing. I know no chances. He didn't get chances created for him, but he was absolutely nothing. I can't remember how many times his name was mentioned by the commentators. So I'll give him a 4 as well. He spent his time dropping into midfield looking for the ball, and fair play. I get why that happened. No one was creating. You didn't see crosses flashed across goal. And I keep saying this, we know what Reece James' superpower is. Reece James' superpower is 1v1 defending, overlapping runs, and those super precise passes. Super precise passes. But we didn't see those today. Today again, we didn't see it because he was locked up playing centre back, locked up in midfield. And that is on Enzo Maresca. That is on Enzo Maresca. Because I said it under Pochettino, and I'll say it again. And I said it under Maresca last season, and I'm sorry, I have to say it again. The Premier League is hard enough, is tough and difficult enough that you don't need to make things difficult for your own team. You don't need to make things difficult for your own team. And that's what Enzo Maresca did. That's what he did. That's what he did. Having the wingers tied up, no support from fullbacks. So it was struggle all game through. So Pedro Neto, I'll give him a 4. I'll give him a 4 as well. You go on to the other side, what's his face now? I'll probably give him a 4 as well in Gittins. It was really poor. I'll give him a 3.5. It was really poor today. Really poor. I was hoping to come on to today's game, the first, reaction stream to the Chelsea game with excitement after a win, after an excellent performance, but no one saw this performance coming. Even I know we had fans who went on like Chelsea who were going to win the league, we're going to absolutely pummel Crystal Palace, and then you even had the ones with medium to realistic expectations like me. But none of us would have seen this coming. None of us, no Chelsea fan, would have seen this sort of performance coming. It was a poor performance. Nobody would have seen it coming. Nobody would have seen it coming. And then you talk about the subs that came on. No improvement. Estavallo, I probably give him a 6. He came on, he tried to take on his man, look active. which is why I think he should probably start at right wing for the next game, and then Peroneto should start as the left winger. That is his best role. Don't get it twisted. That is his best role. Peroneto's best role is left wing. He can be a serviceable winger at right wing, but no. There's something you need to be able to walk your way and get on your strong foot to take a shot or put those crosses in that just doesn't work right, doesn't seem to work out well with Pedro Neto. He should play as a left winger, but with Garnacho coming in, I don't know. Forgetting, nah, no way, no way, no way. And then again, you look at it's so disappointing. It's super disappointing. Super, super disappointing. Then again, you look at the subs that came on. Okay, Andre Santos, I'll give him a 4. It wasn't great. It just wasn't great. Maybe I give him a 4.5 because I give a 4 to Enzo Fernandez because I think he was slightly better than Enzo Fernandez, but it was a 4.5. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough. Esigo didn't come on, fine. I don't know if that would have made a difference. But overall, this was a poor performance, ridiculously poor performance. And then when you saw what other teams have done, what other teams did this season, the performance of other teams, you just shake your head and say, why? The poor performance, absolutely shambolic performance, in my opinion. So bad. The performance was so bad, in my opinion. So bad. People are talking about Jackson. This is not a question of Jackson. It's not a question of Jackson. This is a question of the team playing badly. Playing badly. Did Chelsea miss Jackson? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. That's not what you say, Chelsea missed Jackson. No. So, Superman, if you just join the stream, how you feeling about how you feeling? How do you feel about the performance that Chelsea put up today? How do you feel about it? Want to come up and give your opinion about it? I'll drop the link in the chat if you want to. If you don't, I quite understand because this was a very poor performance, super poor performance, in my opinion. Super poor performance. We're talking about high line or high line. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. How, as a manager, you cannot adapt. I said this about under Pochettino. I said it last season under Maresca. And I didn't think I would have to say it, but I have to say it again. Football is not about you alone. It's not about your system, not about your philosophy alone as a coach. It's also about how you respond to how the opposition sets up, to whatever tactical thing that they introduce. How do you respond? Do you just fold your arms and watch things? And that's what essentially Enzo Maresca did today. He just folded his arms and watched things just continue to go on the way they were going on. He didn't change anything. He didn't change anything. I was expecting, especially when Malogusto came on, I was expecting that, okay, he's coming on now. Rich James is the right fullback that inverts. With Gusto coming on, the mindset is, okay, I'm going to change things up. Okay, Gusto is going to overlap. But no. You see how Gusto, you see how, what's his face now? Williams struggling. So what are you going to do? When the team says we are not going to play high, So when the team comes up to you and say we are not going to play high, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to change it up? Are you going to affect the game? We can't be doing this going into next season. Can't be doing this going into next season. Now, this one is a sentiment that I cannot accept. You always have fans that will go crazy and come up with some weird take. Any player that is not in the team suddenly is the best player. For me, that is pure and utter nonsense. Now, this is what someone has posted on X. It's just stupid. I'm sorry. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but it makes no sense. It just doesn't make any sense. Someone has put this on here. I don't know who this is. Says Cole Palmer isn't the same without Jackson. The earlier Chelsea fans realize this is better. Could you just shut it? Shut it. People keep acting like people have this revisionist mindset or like revisionist history where they keep going on like Jackson was always scoring goals or at least causing Chelsea to win games when he was playing. No, this had nothing to do with Jackson. This performance today had nothing to do with Jackson because there are moments where you had Jackson on the pitch last season when you still had these complaints. And even the fact that even João Pedro, that I gave a 4 into because of today's performance, what chances did he miss? What chances did he miss? Did he miss any gilt-edged chance? There were no chances for him. And that's what is annoying and frustrating for me because usually we have been complaining, Chelsea fans have been complaining, oh, we need a striker. We need a striker that can finish. We need a striker that can score. And then you get yourself a striker and you can't create chances for him. You can't create chances for the striker. So what are you talking about Jackson for? For me, this had nothing to do with Nicholas Jackson. People should give it a rest. Give it a rest. People want to go on like Nicholas Jackson, was actually killing it last season, and then it was absolutely horrible, bad display. Which player can you look at to say this player performed well? Fans want to come on and tell you about the teammate Jackson. No, we didn't. Because the way Crystal Palace played, one key aspect of Jackson's game, which is that pace to make the runs in behind, he won't be able to put down display because they sat deep. And that is the question I have of Enzo Maresca. It's fine when you play against a Burnley that will play a high line, irrespective of who they are, right? Then you can punish them. But when the team says we are not coming up, have the ball, we're happy with the point. What do you do? How do you respond to it? And I thought we had changed. I thought Enzo Maresca had changed, but there's it. I was wrong. I thought he had changed. I thought he's now, started to adapt his play, read the game quickly. Because that's what gets me. It's one thing, set your team up the way you want to set it up. Fine, that's how you want to play. Football, you can win playing in different ways. But when you have your team set up in that way, and then your team is struggling, what do you do? What do you do? Do you do something tactically to respond? Do you do something tactically to respond, or you just keep playing the same way? And for me, that doesn't work. That doesn't work because Right now, you're already playing catch up. You're already playing catch up. First game of the season, although people may argue to say, oh, but Chelsea started the season last season very well and ended up struggling to finish fourth. Okay, fair play. But that doesn't change the fact that Chelsea as a team right now already playing catch up. So you talk about the next game that Chelsea will be playing next fixture. I know it's against West Ham, and West Ham have been poor. And these are the sort of games where I'm thinking Chelsea should absolutely go and terrorize this team. Chelsea should absolutely go and win these games. No excuses. This was one of them. This was one of those games. But Chelsea just blew it. Blew it. This is not saying Enzo Maresca or whatever. No, of course not. This is not saying all the players are rubbish. Of course not. Certain players have to change, have to adapt. Like your Gittins, he has to adapt. I've seen it in preseason and I've seen it in the league game. He has to change up his game. He has to fix up his game. So playing West Ham on Friday, that's I think this week Friday, you're playing West Ham. That's the game you should win. Playing Fulham, that's a game you should win. Playing Brentford, that's a game you should win. When you have this sort of start, so your first four fixtures, those are games you should have won. There have been 12 points in the pocket. Now, can you go on and get 11? Let me see. So you get 3, 3, 6, 9. Can you go on and get 10? Can you go on and get 10 points? For me, that should be the minimum target. That should be the minimum target starting from Friday. This game is gone, obviously. This game is gone. Can you go on right now and get me 10 points? Would that be at all possible? West Ham, we've seen how rubbish West Ham are. Are you going to go there and struggle again? Or are you going to make things easy for them? Because West Ham, Graham Potter probably would have watched this game and said, okay, what we're going to do is we'll double up on the wingers. Now, the question is, can you respond? Can you be dynamic as a team to respond? Or you stand there, watch it, arms across your chest as Enzo Maresca and watch the game pit it out. Gittins, can you be braver on the ball? So say whatever you want to say about Noni Madueke. Say whatever I want to say about him. He's gone. No longer a Chelsea player. But one thing he always showed was bravery. I'll get that ball, I'll run at you. I'll try to get past you. But Gittins, he has all the tools. That's what's frustrating me now about Gittins. You have all the tools, the skills, the speed. So why aren't you brave enough to go at your man? Why aren't you brave enough? So for me, this should be 10 points. This should be 9 points from the following game to make it 10 points from these first four games. Because right now, I'm so disappointed with this game. I don't know how you feel. I'm super disappointed with this game. I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions about this. I'm super disappointed. This was a game you should have won. But it's just because of the disease of modern managers, which is we will not adapt whatsoever. We'll play the game and let the game peter out no matter what. We want to play the same way. That's the way we're going to play. People will say Colwill. Colwill is not the reason Chelsea drew this game. The absence of Colwill is not the reason. A lot of people are trying to formulate some narrative. Oh, if Colwill wasn't the team, we'll build up from his corner, we'll build up from the side. No, that's not the reason. So if you would take a draw because Colwill wasn't in the team against Crystal Palace, then against Man City, are you going to take a loss? It's out for the season. Deal with it. Josh Archibald, he stepped up. Chalobah wasn't too impressive today, but the defense, even if it wasn't that great, wasn't the problem. Usually, the defense is slightly the problem, and the attack creates a lot of chances. No one there to take the opportunities, but no chances were created today. All these people talking about Jackson, Palmer, that's not. You've seen the relationship already building with João Pedro and Palmer. The thing is, how does that ball get to João Pedro? What is the delivery system? We saw something easy, something simple. We're going to close down your wingers. Would you bring someone else to support them? If your answer is no, then we're happy. And that's why Crystal Palace were happy. At no point did this feel stretched. Moments towards the end of the game, just sort of attempted to ramp up the pressure, but very, very little, so late. So late. There's nobody comes out good or with their heads held high in this game. The players, definitely not Enzo Maresca. Now, the only reason that this, I wouldn't even say permitted, the only sort of out I kind of would give the players first game of the season. And that's not even strong enough because first game of the season, Man City has smashed Wolves 4-0. First game of the season, Liverpool have won 4-2. In first game of the season, Sunderland, newly promoted side, have smashed, West Ham 3-0. So even that excuse I'm trying to formulate for the team, which is first game of the season, other teams have started the season well. Manchester City, when the club woke up, let no one use that as an excuse because it felt like certain players were still on the beach. They were still celebrating as opposed to wanting to win a game of football that was in front of them. Okay, so John Joseph. Hi, Joseph. How you doing? How you doing? What are your thoughts on the game? What are your thoughts on the game? What do you happy with the performance? Is there any person that you feel had a good game? Thoughts on Enzo Maresca? For me, I just feel like no one had a good game. No one. I saw Enzo Maresca speaking with one of his assistants, and we got like passionate talking. But end of the day, I didn't see anything we were discussing that was implemented in the game. A lot of people that come up with different super tactical things, 4-2-2, 3-3-3, this and that. But certain things still remain and will always remain. The opposition will always try to frustrate you or counteract what you set up. And if you don't, if you don't set up, if you don't react to what they've done, then you're in a problem. And there's a mental issue with this team. We have to say it. Because 10 minutes into the game, it was all Chelsea. All pressure on Chelsea. Crystal Palace didn't have a look in. And then they got that free kick. Like I said once again, it wasn't a free kick in my opinion. It just wasn't. It just wasn't a free kick. The ref, whatever he thought he saw. And then the free kick was taken, went to the back of the net, went over, checked it out. Referee says, no goal. It doesn't count. And then it looks like the heads of the player just sunk. And all the good things they did in the first 10, 12 minutes disappeared. Absolutely disappeared. Slow, tepid play, build up slow. Fullbacks were just kittens. I say Jamie Gittins was kittens today. Was absolutely kittens. He was so timid. I don't like saying this, but that's just it. That's just how it felt. And I've seen this before. I don't want to see this going into the game versus West Ham or Brentford or Fulham. I don't want to see this. Because if we see this, we're going to struggle again. We're going to struggle again. And Enzo Maresca, I hope he refused to change. He didn't refuse to change the system because he wanted to prove a point about Colwill. Because we've got this thing that managers do, because they want to prove a point to the board of directors or sporting directors or ownership. They play some weird thing where they refuse to be active tactically, to make changes, and just allow things to peter out to prove that, yeah, we really need this guy. Yeah, we really need to sign a new defender. Yeah, we really need to do this. Because that means you're not a winner. That means you just want to throw things, throw your team under the bus, which isn't right. These are 2 points dropped. These are 2 points dropped in the top four race. These are 2 points dropped in whatever title channel, whatever you want to call it. These are points dropped. Now, there could become, hopefully we don't get to this, but if we get to points in the season where you're struggling to finish fourth or you're struggling to get into second spot, and then you wonder, if only we'd got those points versus Crystal Palace. It's a reality. It's a reality. The season has started. This is not some charity shield game, community shield game, or preseason friendly. This is the season. This is the season. This same issue with low blocks. Pochettino made that mistake. Maresca made that mistake in parts of last season. And it seems like he's deciding to make that mistake, the same mistake again this season. How you don't get support for your wingers, I don't get it. I don't get it. Speaking of Gittins again, probably you see Garnacho start ahead of him. So what do you think? Who should be the left wing, number one, left wing starter? If Chelsea sign Garnacho, do you want him to start ahead of Gittins, or you still feel Gittins is the guy? Or maybe Pedro Neto? The way I look at it right now, I think Pedro Neto is the guy for me, in my opinion, to play in that left wing. And Esavai William, for me, should be the starting right winger, right off the bat. He shows bravery. He's ready to run. He shows willingness, to battle with players bigger than him. Maybe it's the Brazilian nature in him. He shows willingness to want to dribble people, to commit defenders, to make people make decisions. I didn't see that from Pedro Neto today playing out on the right, and I definitely didn't see that from Gittins today. It was a very bad performance, a disastrous performance. This is not a performance that I was thinking was going to happen. I wasn't one of those that were saying, "Oh, probably going to win against Crystal Palace 5-0, 6-0. I was thinking more. If you watch the stream before this one, the video before this, where I reacted to the squad, I was like, okay, this is a game where you win 2-0, 1-0 first half. Towards the end of the second half, you get a second goal, and the game is over. But that didn't happen because of the refusal of Enzo Maresca on one hand to react, and the players themselves. Because right now the blame goes around to everybody. The blame goes around to everybody. Every person connected to Chelsea in that stadium that could come on to play or that could make the decision as a substitution should be held responsible for this result. I'm not one of those standard guys that will start at the FC, must get 114 points in the season. No. But if you really want to say you are a big team, Club World Cup champions, want to finish in Champions League spots with ease, want to have some sort of challenge for the league title, then games like this at home, you have to win. You have to find a way to win. The Liverpool game, Liverpool versus Bournemouth, they were open at the back. And I think going into the season, they will be open at the back a lot. But they found a way to win. And so Chelsea should have found a way to win this game. Maresca should have found a way to win. Because you could see what Crystal Palace were trying to do. But Chelsea did nothing to counteract it. And that's the annoying and frustrating thing. You can always start one way. You can always have your style of play, usually when everything works out for you. But when the opposition says, nah, we are doing something else, we are not playing with a high line, what are you going to do? Because in games where you're going to come up against a Thomas Frank, for instance, you're going to have that. You're going to have Spurs saying, we are going to let you have the ball. So what are you going to do then? And what if, I know you're coming up against Graham Potter in the next game on Friday, and Graham Potter would like to play attacking football and all that. But what if he says, okay, for this game, We lost against Sunderland. That if you're speaking as a West Ham fan, we lost against Sunderland. So this game, we want to make sure we can nick at least a point. What do? You still remain stubborn and watch the game peter out. That's the frustrating thing. That's the frustrating thing. It's not how you started. It's not how you started. It's not how you set the team up that was the problem. It's not how Maresca set the team up initially. That is my problem. Of course, we've seen that setting it up in that way works at times. But when the other team says, no, we're going to play differently, we're not just going to lie down for you to match on our heads. We're going to apply ourselves differently to frustrate you. What do you do? What do you do? Do you just watch things peter out and not do anything? And the players, they need to take responsibility, of course. Gittins, for one, Cucurella, I wouldn't blame him so much because I know he will come good. He showed moments in this game that is his real self. But Gittins, why I'm having this sort of skeptical thoughts about Gittins is because preseason we saw the same thing. And I gave him an excuse during preseason to say, this is preseason, it's not the start, it's not the season main Premier League itself, it's just preseason friendly. But I've seen that habit now translate to the Premier League game. Now, the only excuse I'll say, this is a blanket excuse for all the players. First game of the season. It's not a strong one, I must admit. First game of the season. So get into the swing of things of the season, and then let's see as things build up. But my God, no way. No way will this performance be accepted against West Ham. No way. Gittins, you have to smart up. I asked this question when Gittins was signed. I said, what does he do better than Noni Madrid? Just a question. What does he do better? So I think based on this performance, I think the board will speed up the process to sign Garnacho. I think that's what's going to happen. And then the midfield, once again, Enzo Maresca, please use your squad. Use your squad. So I'll share the link if you want to come on here and join the chat. That's fine, but I know you may not want to come on because this is a loss. This is a result but I draw rather, but it does feel like a loss, and this is not the kind of result that any of us wanted. But there you have it. They have it. A poor performance today. Robert Sanchez, I was afraid that he almost gave away a penalty. He did get the ball, but with this whole VAR thing and the way the referees are, he may end up giving the penalty. There was a shout for a penalty. I wouldn't focus so much on it, but I must point it out. There's this whole talk of not every contact is a penalty. So does it mean when it happens outside of the field, outside of the 18-yard box, you give it as a penalty? You just no intention of going for the ball, you push the player in his back. That should be a penalty normally. So this weird decision this referees come up with. But overall, this team was terrible. The performance was terrible. The only thing I can hope and pray is that they look themselves in the mirror and say, this is not how Club World Cup champions play. This is not how teams that have the ambition that we have as Chelsea this season. This is not how we should play. This is the only point we're going to drop from our first, 4 to 5 games. Let's crack on. That's what I hope is going through their mind. There's no room for self-pity. The game is done. It's gone. I'm upset. I'm sure you're a Chelsea fan. You're not happy as well. I'm sure they are not also happy, but it is to step up to the plate and say, okay, take responsibility and, be positive. That's what I said. To start the pre-match video I did, I said, you should be progressive, be aggressive, start on the front foot. And this team started on the front foot. And this team was aggressive the first 10, 12 minutes. And then afterward, poof, vanish, disappeared. One sort of floated away. because of a disallowed goal. This is just. I thought they had some mentality coach, rugby man somewhere. This was bad, 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 bad. I would love to say subscribe to the channel, but I'm not even feeling all too happy about the performance. Performance is just so draining. If you had a performance where you are absolutely battering Crystal Palace, like absolutely pin them in their own half, making life absolutely difficult for Crystal Palace, then you probably say, okay, you kind of get it. Okay, you can't win every game, but you absolutely gave it your all. Absolutely show that you were the better team, way better team than Crystal Palace. But when you put up such a tepid, slow, annoying performance like this, no, there's no hiding place for this sort of performance. Now I don't know what excuse Enzo Maresca would come up with. I don't know, because coaches they always have their excuses, tucked up in their wallet. Maybe he will come up and say something about Cowell and use Cowell as an excuse why this game was horrible. It was horrible. People are going all this support the manager. And of course, I support him. I'm not saying sack him. I'm not saying anything, but you have to call out poor performances. You have to call out the way it was set up. And yeah, of course, he will say that. That's what he had to say. This is what Enzo Maresca has had to say. Enough chances created. Fine, if you want to say that. So which chances is he talking about? Which are the chances? Is it the one that Andre Santos hoofed? Maybe that's what he's talking about. But overall, this was a poor game. It was a poor game. So Enzo Maresca, we created enough chances to win the game, just couldn't finish. Just couldn't finish. So who do those chances fall to? There was the one I think Esther Williams should have done better with. The ball bubbled a bit and just took it out. He shouldn't have taken that shot. He should have laid it off for Pedro Neto. And then there was the cross that could have been an own goal earlier on in the game when Chelsea were playing well. And then Ismail Assar headed it over the crossbar to make it a corner kick. Then there was the opportunity for Andre Santos when he should have absolutely walloped that ball, absolutely smashed through the ball. He tried to bend it. He wanted to be too clever and he bent the ball way over the bar. So I'm struggling to see the chances he's talking about. How many chances did João Pedro even get? How many chances did he even get? And I can't quite see the chances that he's talking about. Like, Chelsea were not super dominant in this game. Possession-wise, yeah, had a lot of the ball. But dominant in terms of creating real gilt-edged chances where you're like, wow, how did he miss that? I struggle to see it. I struggle to see it. I struggle to see those chances. I struggle to see those chances that he's talking about. I struggle to see those chances that he's on about. So Chelsea ended up drawing this game. So how do you think Chelsea should approach the game against West Ham? What sort of substitutions do you want to see? What sort of setup do you want to see? I think I will come up with my own starting lineup for the game because right now we have to move on. I have to move on right now. So for me, going into the game, the same formation still, I think. Same formation, 4-2-3-1. 4-2-3-1, but some changes need to be made. So Sanchez still has to start for me. There's no Robert Sanchez will still have to start because I don't see Jorgensen being any better. I don't see Jorgensen being any better. And of course, Cucurella will start, or maybe Hato, just to give Cucurella a rest. But Cucurella will start for me. So Cucurella starts, and then I will go with centre back Josh. They will start, and hopefully Tosin is available. Hopefully, because they say his knock was just precautionary, that's why he didn't play. So I'll go with Tosin, Tosin to start against the West Ham. Then right back, I'll go Gusto. I'll let James have some rest. I'll go Gusto in midfield. Maybe I'll go Esugo, just so that Caicedo can get some rest. That's all. Not because he's bad or anything. Get some rest, come off the bench, and then for sure, Enzo Fernandez must rest. He must rest this game. He must rest this game. The game was in West Ham. He needs a rest. He needs a breather. And then on the right for me, Estavayo. Well, so it's not doesn't show up on here, so I'll leave it like that. But I know he's then Peroneto for me. Peroneto for me starts on the left. Because Gittins, nah. 10, Palmer again. Palmer should start for sure. There's no reason to keep him out. He had a very poor game today by anyone's standards. This is not one of those where you say he had a poor game by his standards. No, by anyone's standards, had a poor game. And then I'll still go with João Pedro. Let's go with João Pedro. João Pedro. So this is the lineup I will go with for that game. For the game versus West Ham. Super disappointing, man. Super disappointed. You know how you guys are feeling. This is a draining game. It was draining to watch, and even more draining to talk about. Draining performance. So this is the team that I will be going with for the game versus West Ham. I think some players need a rest. Yeah. So Sanchez, of course, Gusto to start, Tosin. Please, can he just allow Gusto to overlap a bit? Allow the guy to stretch his legs and do what he does best. We saw what he did when Chelsea played PSG. We saw what he did. We saw what it was about. For me, Tosin, Josh Achipong should start. Andre Santos and Esugo, who might say, oh, this is an experimental midfield. Caicedo, of course, should still be in the team, but I think he needs to rest as well. And Enzo Fernandez really does need to rest. He does. Gittins, for me, he is a second wave player. You come on when there's a lead to protect and when you can comfortably hit on the break. Pedro Neto, for me, should start at left wing. He gave us the West Ham. When you who are quick to go, quick play, run at the fullbacks, Palmer to stand at 10 row. João Pedro should start the game. But if he's struggling, at the end of the first half, he should be yanked off and Liam Delap should come on, in the second half. And I don't know why we can't get Estevao William, but Estevao William should start because in the few moments he had, he showed that he can actually commit a fullback, run at them, give them something to think about, even more so than Neto, even more so than Gittins, in my opinion. So that's the sort of team I will be looking for in that West Ham game next Friday. So let me know your some opinions on all of this, opinions on the game. What are your thoughts? For me, I'm done. I'm done. Pretty tired with the game. I know no one is really feeling super excited to talk about this game anymore. and that's fine. I understand that. So we've come to the end of the stream, but I'd like to see us all back here, on Monday. Talk about other Chelsea-related news, new signings, new. Hopefully, maybe Ganacho's announced, Javi Simmons announced, transfer talks and transfer rumors. If you're new, please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, and do share this video to people you feel love content like this. I don't know Chelsea fan really right now is in love with watching any video talking about this game, but yeah, maybe at least what I say would line up with what you have been thinking yourself. Maybe that could be a reason for you to watch it, but at this point, come to the end of this video. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for your support. And I'll see you on yet another video. So stay well and stay blessed.